These 20 Harry Potter actors brought magic to our screens, but what happened after the credits rolled will absolutely break your heart. From Dumbledore and Snape to the voice of the Sorting Hat, this is the untold story of the real-life losses behind the magic. First, Richard Harris. Richard Harris was the first actor to play Professor Dumbledore in the Harry Potter movies. He played the headmaster in the first two films and really made the role feel powerful and wise. Sadly, he passed away in 2002. The cause was Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a type of cancer that affects your lymphatic system. Basically, your body's way of fighting infections. His health was getting worse while filming, and even though he tried to keep going, his body couldn't take it anymore. He passed away in a hospital in London at the age of 72. His death shocked fans because he had become such an important part of the Harry Potter world. Second, Michael Gambon. Michael Gambon took over the role of Dumbledore after Richard Harris died. He played the character from the third movie all the way to the last one. Sadly, he passed away on September 27, 2023. The reason was pneumonia, which is a serious lung infection. It gets really dangerous, especially for older people, because it makes it hard to breathe and weakens the whole body. He died at the age of 82. His family shared the news and said he passed peacefully in the hospital. Fans around the world were heartbroken. Even though he was older, many people were shocked because they still remembered him so clearly as Dumbledore. Uchunju Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman played Professor Snape, and honestly, nobody could have done it better. He brought this serious, mysterious, and kind of scary energy to the role that fans loved. But in 2016, he passed away, and it really hit hard. The cause of his death was pancreatic cancer, one of the deadliest and fastest-growing cancers. He had kept his illness private, so most people didn't even know he was sick. He died on January 14, 2016, at the age of 69. Fans were completely shocked. It felt like he was gone way too soon. Everyone knew him as Snape, but he had also done so many other movies. Still, to Harry Potter fans, he'll always be the man who made us question whether Snape was good or evil, and then broke our hearts when we found out the truth. 4. Robbie Coltrane. Hearts. He wasn't just a character, he was the heart of the whole Harry Potter world for many fans. He died at the age of 72 from multiple organ failure, which means several of his body's organs stopped working. That's usually a result of a serious illness or infection. In his case, it was connected to sepsis, which is a life-threatening reaction to an infection in the body. Before his death, he had already been facing a lot of health issues for a few years. He wasn't seen much in public because his body was getting weaker. When the news came out, fans all over the world posted tributes and videos saying how much Hagrid meant to them. 5. Helen McCrory. Helen McCrory, who played Narcissa Malfoy, died on April 16, 2021. She was only 52 years old. The cause was breast cancer, and what made it even sadder was that she kept her illness private. No one really knew she was sick, not even close friends. So when the news of her death came out, it shocked everyone. She was fighting cancer quietly, staying strong for her family. Her husband, actor Damian Lewis, shared the news and said she had passed away peacefully at home. Fans were devastated. She wasn't one of the main trio, but her character had a powerful role, especially near the end of the series. Narcissa Malfoy may have been from a dark family, but Helen gave her depth and emotion that made people respect her. 6. John Hurt. John Hurt, who played Mr. Ollivander, the wand maker from Diagon Alley, died on January 25, 2017. The cause was pancreatic cancer, which is one of the deadliest types of cancer because it usually gets found too late. He had been battling it for a while and sadly passed away at the age of 77. What hit people hard was how quietly he dealt with it. He was still working and staying active during treatment, but behind the scenes, his body was weakening. When he passed, It felt like the loss of a voice you always recognized, even if you didn't see his face much. His scenes in Harry Potter weren't long, but they were memorable. When he talked about the power of wands and magic, it gave a deep, mysterious feeling to the story. 7th, Richard Griffiths. Years old. The reason for his death wasn't a disease, but problems after heart surgery. He had gone in for a routine operation, but sadly, there were complications afterward, and his body just couldn't recover. When people found out he died, there was a mix of shock and sadness. Even though he played a character most fans didn't like, because Uncle Vernon was rude and mean, people really respected Richard as an actor. He brought so much energy to the role that you couldn't help but remember him. It was one of those deaths where fans realized how much the supporting actors meant to the story. Without Uncle Vernon, Harry's early life wouldn't have felt so tough, and that made his journey even more powerful. 8. Roger Lloyd Pack. Roger Lloyd Pack passed away on January 15, 2014. He was 69 years old. The cause of death was pancreatic cancer, which is a really aggressive and fast-moving type of cancer. Most people didn't know he was sick until after the news came out, so it was a sad surprise. Even though he didn't have a big role in the Harry Potter movies, his character, Barty Crouch Sr., was still important. He was in the Goblet of Fire, and the whole mystery around his son and the Triwizard Tournament made his part really interesting. Roger gave his character this strict and cold vibe, which made sense with the story. 9. Dave Legeno. Dave Legeno, who played the terrifying werewolf Fenrir Greyback, died on July 6, 2014. He was only 50 years old. What makes his death even sadder is how unexpected and tragic it was. He died from heat stroke while hiking alone in Death Valley, California, one of the hottest places on Earth. It took a few days before his body was found by other hikers. It was heartbreaking because he was doing something he loved, being out in nature and staying active. And it ended in such a sudden way. No one really saw it coming. He was healthy, strong, and full of life. That's what shocked so many fans. In the movies, his character was dark, wild, and scary. But in real life, people who worked with him said he was kind and calm. His death felt like a reminder of how dangerous nature can be if you're not careful, especially in extreme heat. Gishante Robert Hardy. Robert Hardy, who played Cornelius Fudge in the Harry Potter movies, passed away on August 3, 2017, at the age of 91. He died peacefully, mostly due to old age and health issues that come with getting older. Even though he lived a long life, it still felt like a big loss for fans. His character, Fudge, was the Minister of Magic during the early movies. He wasn't evil, but he made a lot of bad decisions, especially when he refused to believe that Voldemort had returned. That made things worse for everyone in the wizarding world. Even though fans didn't like Fudge as a person, they really appreciated Robert Hardy's performance. He made Fudge feel real, stubborn, scared, and desperate to keep control. When Robert died, people were sad, but also thankful. Thankful that he gave so much to the series and made Fudge more than just a background character. 11th, Elizabeth Spriggs. Elizabeth Spriggs passed away on December 2, 2008, at the age of 78. She played the Fat Lady in the first Harry Potter movie, the portrait that guards the entrance to Gryffindor Tower. Even though her screen time was short, fans still remember her for her dramatic and funny way of asking for the password. Her death didn't make as many headlines as some of the bigger names in the series, but that doesn't mean it wasn't important. For fans who grew up with the first film, she was part of the magical world that made Hogwarts feel alive. Her version of the Fat Lady had this classic old-school vibe that gave the castle its mysterious charm. 12th, Marjorie Mason. Marjorie Mason died on June 26, 2014, at the incredible age of 100. She played the Trolley Witch in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. It was a super short scene where she pushes the snack trolley on the Hogwarts Express and says that famous line, "Anything off the trolley, dears?" Even though it lasted just a few seconds, it stuck with fans forever. Her death didn't make big news outside the Potter community, but for fans, it meant something. She was one of those tiny pieces of the story that made the world feel real. Just hearing her line brings back memories of the train rides, chocolate frogs, and that feeling of heading to Hogwarts. 13. Jimmy Gardner. Jimmy Gardner, who played Ernie the Night bus driver in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, died on May 3, 2010, at the age of 85. He passed away from age-related issues. It wasn't sudden, but it still hit fans who remembered his funny and unforgettable role. Even though he had just one scene, people loved him. The night bus scene was pure chaos. Beds flying around, a shrunken head yelling directions. And Ernie was the calm, weirdly serious driver in the middle of all of it. It gave that whole part of the movie its charm. When he died, a lot of fans looked back at that one scene and smiled. It's crazy how someone can appear for just a few minutes but still become part of the memory. 14. Paul Ritter. Paul Ritter died on April 5, 2021, at just 54 years old. The cause of his death was a brain tumor. He passed away peacefully, but it was a really heartbreaking loss because he was still so young and had a lot more to give. In Harry Potter, he played Eldred Warple in The Half-Blood Prince, though the scene was super brief and not even in all cuts of the film. Still, fans of his work remembered it. Outside of Harry Potter, he was in a bunch of shows and movies, and his death made headlines because so many people loved his acting. The news of his passing spread quickly, and a lot of fans were shocked. Even if people didn't remember his exact role in the wizarding world, they knew his face from other projects and felt that loss deeply. It was one of those moments where you realize how fast life can change. 15. Derek Deadman. Derek Deadman, who played Tom the Innkeeper at the Leaky Cauldron in the first Harry Potter film, died on May 22, 2014, at the age of 74. He passed away due to complications from diabetes. His death didn't make huge headlines, but fans of the series definitely took notice. Tom only had a short appearance in Philosopher's Stone, but it was memorable. He was the first magical person Harry met at the inn before heading into Diagon Alley. His funny, weird, slightly creepy style fit perfectly with the strange world Harry was stepping into. That one little interaction made the magical world feel both exciting and unpredictable. When Derek passed away, longtime fans looked back at that moment with love. It's wild how even a single scene can stay in your memory forever. His version of Tom was replaced in later films, but people still remember the original. 16. Simon Fisher Becker. Simon Fisher Becker, who played the Fat Friar, the ghost of Hufflepuff House, passed away on March 9, 2025, at the age of 63. His death was confirmed by multiple sources, and even though he wasn't a lead character, his passing really touched fans, especially Hufflepuffs. The Fat Friar only shows up briefly in the films, but he's part of the Hogwarts ghost crew, and his kind, cheerful spirit made him stand out. Simon brought a softness to that character that matched the Hufflepuff vibe. Friendly, warm, and just happy to be around. He wasn't flashy, but he didn't need to be. He gave fans exactly what they expected from a house ghost: good energy and a gentle presence. When he passed, a lot of Potterheads posted tributes and Hufflepuff-themed messages in his honor. 17. Maggie Smith. Maggie Smith, who played Professor McGonagall, passed away on September 27, 2024, at the age of 89. Her death hit hard because she wasn't just a character, she was a whole era. Strict, wise, and secretly caring, McGonagall was one of the strongest forces at Hogwarts, and Maggie made her unforgettable. When news of her passing came out, fans everywhere were heartbroken. Social media filled with posts, tributes, quotes, and old clips of her scenes. It felt like the end of something really special. She had been quiet for a while, so people kind of knew the day would come, but it didn't make it any easier. 18. Leslie Phillips. Leslie Phillips, the voice of the Sorting Hat in Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, passed away on November 7, 2022, at the age of 98. He died from natural causes. Even though we never saw his face in the films, his voice was unforgettable. Even though fans didn't like Fudge as a person, they really appreciated Robert Hardy's performance. He made Fudge feel real, stubborn, scared, and desperate to keep control. That deep, wise, and slightly cheeky tone made the Sorting Hat feel alive. Every time a new Hogwarts student sat on that stool, it was his voice that brought the magic. He made the sorting ceremony feel mysterious and exciting. His voice didn't just tell you what house you were in, it made you feel like the hat really knew who you were inside. When he passed away, it was like losing the voice of Hogwarts itself. Fans around the world shared clips of the Sorting Hat scenes and said how important that voice was to their childhood. It may not have been a big role with lots of screen time, but it was iconic. 19. Tony Selby. Tony Selby passed away on September 5, 2021, at the age of 83. His role in Half-Blood Prince was really small. He played a Muggle vendor selling sneakoscopes in one of the street scenes. You probably blinked and missed it, but for hardcore fans, that scene helped build the magical world in a subtle way. Even though he didn't have any big lines or scenes, his character was part of that everyday magic you see in the background. Those little moments in Diagon Alley and other wizard areas help make everything feel real. When someone like that passes away, it reminds you that the world of Harry Potter wasn't just built by the main cast. It took a huge team of people, even in tiny roles, to bring it to life. 20. Rick Mayall. Rick Mayall died on June 9, 2014 after a sudden heart attack. He was just 56, and his death was a big shock. What makes this one even more frustrating for fans is that he actually filmed scenes as Peeves the Poltergeist for Philosopher's Stone. But they were all cut from the final movie. So technically, he was part of the cast, but nobody ever got to see his version of Peeves on screen. And that's a huge loss, because Peeves was one of the funniest and wildest characters from the books. Rick Mayall would have been perfect for it. He had the chaotic energy and hilarious voice that would have made Peeves a fan favorite instantly. After he passed, fans were upset not just because he died so young, but also because we never got to see his full performance. It's one of those what could have been moments in movie history. Hit the like button to honor their memory, share this with a fellow Potterhead, and subscribe for more stories behind the magic.